Good morning, everyone. I'm Margaret Abe-Koga, the new chair of this committee, and I'd like to call the meeting to order at 10 a.m. This is the January 16th meeting of the Housing, Land Use, Environment, and Transportation Committee. Clerk, would you please call the roll to establish a quorum?
Good morning, Vice Chairperson Arenas.
Here.
Chairperson Abe-Koga.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll go on to item 2, public comment. This item is reserved for persons who wish to address the committee on any matter within the subject matter jurisdiction of the committee that is not on this agenda. The law does not permit committee action or extended discussion of any item not on the agenda except under special circumstances. Members of the public who wish to address the committee on a non-agendized item should request to speak at this time by giving a request to speak form to the deputy clerk if you are in the chambers, or by using the raise hand icon if attending virtually. Clerk, are there any speakers?
We have no speakers in chambers. We do have one virtual speaker, Paul Soto. Please accept the unmute to begin speaking. You will have 3 minutes.
Welcome.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Thank you. Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. First of all, I'd like to welcome Supervisor Koga to the fight. And it is going to be a fight. You're going to get to know me real well. I'm going to get to know you, your policy positions, where it is that you vote on certain issues, where it is that you don't vote on other issues. So we're going to get very familiar with each other. And that's what's supposed to happen. That's democracy in action. So I'd like to welcome you to the commission and the board. Secondly, I want to acknowledge Assembly Speaker Robert Rivas and Assemblywoman Gail Pellerin for their advocacy on the state level regarding farm worker housing. It's embarrassing that there had to be a bill submitted in order to expand housing for campesinos, for farm workers, because that economy is what literally the agricultural economy from 1880 until the 1970s, until today, has literally been the backbone that allowed Santa Clara Valley and San Juan to become the tech powerhouses that it's become today. Without that labor of my ancestors, none of this, none of the wealth, none of the prosperity, nothing would have been possible. And so it was encouraging to know that we have people like Assembly Speaker Robert Rivas, who I've been in contact with, both his staff and Mrs. Pellerin's staff, because I'm not getting any kind of respect or any kind of support on the local level for my advocacy here in these meetings. I speak on land use, I speak on redlining, the historical injustices that stem from redlining. I speak on the establishing the histories of farm worker, lowrider, and Chicano movement histories. I'm a historian. I'm a man of many faces and many talents. And we need to get to a point where that the Mexican and the farm worker and the worker that is the backbone of the economy doesn't necessarily always have to fight in order to get services that he should just have allocated to him simply because they are major contributors to the economy and to the city and the county, period. So I look forward to a good meeting with you all. And once again, welcome Supervisor Koga.
And that concludes our speakers.
Thank you so much, and I look forward to getting to know you too, Mr. Paul. We'll go on to item 3 now, the approval of the consent calendar and any changes to the committee agenda. Supervisor Arenas, do you have any changes or questions or comments on the consent?
No, motion to approve.
Thank you. I'll second the motion. Are there any public comments?
We have no speakers on the item.
Great, we'll close public comment and bring it back for a vote. Would you mind taking a roll call vote, please, clerk?
Vice Chairperson Arenas.
Yes.
Chairperson Abe-Coco.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We go to the regular agenda. Item number 4 is to receive a report from the Office of Sustainability and Resilience relating to the proposed Community Climate Roadmap 2035 and forward to the Board of Supervisors for consideration. Is there a staff presentation for us?
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, welcome.
Yeah. Okay, I'll do that. Morning, I'm Jasneet Sharma, the Director for the Office of Sustainability and Resilience. And with me today is also our Sustainability Manager, Gilly Corral. We also have 2 of our analysts sitting right behind us who kind of led the process of developing the Community Climate Roadmap. And then joining us on Zoom is one of our consultants from Rincon Consultants that was part of helping us develop the project. We have Ryan Gardner on Zoom in case there are any technical questions to provide additional support to us as well. So we have a presentation on the key elements of the plan, and then we'll be available to certainly answer any questions that the supervisors might have. Thank you. So we started developing the community roadmap a little over 3 years ago, and even just within this 3-year time span, we have seen the global temperature surpass the 1.5 degrees Celsius mark. So it's in a very short time period as well. We've seen some really fast-moving action on that end. And why this is important is scientists have been warning us that this 1.5 degrees Celsius mark is considered a critical threshold, and beyond which we are really expecting to see significant climate impacts. Just this year, last year, we saw the hottest year on record since 1850, as a result of which we had about 37 heat-related deaths just in Santa Clara County. And we all have been seeing the devastating fires that's happening in the LA region, which we know is one of the worst in our state's history as well. So this is really considered to be a tipping point in the the Earth's climate system, beyond which it will be difficult to either recover, or really we will start to see more of those heat, atmospheric river, and wildfire-related impacts as well. What I just wanted to point out with this slide is, so in 2005 is when nations really started coming together to say, okay, we need to take some actions. And 2005 was when the Kyoto Protocol became effective as well. If you look at the first image or the graphic in there, we would see like if we had really started taking some significant action in that 2005 time period, it was a gradual slope for us to start to what we call bending the emission curve, and the actions that we would have needed to achieve the emission reduction by 2100. Unfortunately, as a nation and both as global partners, we were not successful in doing that. So 2015 is when the Paris Agreement was adopted by 196 countries. And that is really where that goal of let's keep our global temperature below 1.5 degrees was adopted as well. And unfortunately, that's not something we've been successful at. But again, the slope got steeper, but it looked manageable as well. Well, we're in 2025 now, and we can see how steep that slope is, which really just goes to show that we need very, very aggressive action to get to the goals that we have set for ourselves, both as a local government or even as a nation as well. And we just need to remember that even a tenth of an increase in global temperature will have significant impact as well. So this was the North Star that we kept in mind as we were developing the roadmap, is really every amount of emissions that we can reduce and we can help control the global temperature will certainly have an impact on a larger scale as well. So what we're bringing to you today is the Community Climate Roadmap. It has some prioritized actions for the county to lead and spearhead in unincorporated areas of the county, and also some regional strategies that we would absolutely need to partner with our cities, our public agencies, and community partners to have countywide impact as well. I will hand it off to Gilly to walk us through the rest of the presentation now.
Thank you, Jasneet. Good morning. Our roadmap journey, as Jasneet mentioned, started in 2021, and we started with a greenhouse gas emissions inventory, which is really an accounting of the different sources of climate pollution in the community. So you can see our baseline year is 2017, and on the left side, that donut there is countywide emissions, and on the right side, unincorporated portion of countywide emissions, which make up about 4% of countywide emissions for our unincorporated. There in the middle, you can see the different sectors that make up the different sources of climate pollution in the community. So in 2017, for countywide emissions, the largest source is that kind of tealish, bluish color, which is on-road transportation. I'm seeing some nods. That's generally passenger cars, diesel, gasoline cars. We anticipate when we redo this inventory for countywide, we'll see an uptick in commercial vehicles due to deliveries becoming more prevalent with online commercial traffic that way. Different trends were observed for unincorporated. You see the largest slice is more in the natural gas, or that orange section, followed by electricity and agricultural emissions. And I just want to note Stanford's emissions percentage of our unincorporated is about 12% in 2017. So we updated the inventory for the unincorporated portion of the county. As just mentioned, the roadmap really gets at the unincorporated portion for 2022, and you can see the comparison between the years and how those sources have changed. We saw a really significant decrease in the energy sector, so I'm going to go the third row down, electricity. That was primarily due to Silicon Valley Clean Energy with more renewable and carbon-free emissions source for electricity. We also actually saw a 52% decrease in natural gas usage. A major contributor to that was the permanent closure of Lehigh Cement Quarry in 2020. Other sectors, due to the energy sector changing, shrinking, you did see some other sectors pop up as larger slices of that donut. So that would be agriculture is now more of 20% of that emissions profile, and you did see some slight to significant increases in other sectors. Just want to quickly note, on-road transportation, we've got that little asterisk there because methodology changed, and we can't directly compare between those two. So this slide outlines the different sectors that we would need to target for achieving carbon neutrality by 2035. I want to note that these objectives here are technically possible with technology that exists today. We do acknowledge in the roadmap that they are aspirational. You can see this very simple graphic is showing you that hopefully steeper curve down to carbon neutrality that Jasneet mentioned was necessary. The carbon neutrality, when we say that, we mean we're really reducing emissions as far as we can, acknowledging that we may have a portion to offset with carbon sequestration through actions such as increasing urban tree canopy or using natural working lands to sequester carbon. And we have a midpoint target there in 2030 to reduce emissions by 40%. Comparing 1990 levels. And just narrowing in on that 2030 target for a moment, these are really foundational actions and strategies to ensure that we do meet that carbon neutrality target ultimately. So you can see those key sectors there and how we're going to get to that reduction by 2030, which represents about 81,400 metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. And I want to note most of that reduction by 2030 is going to come from those first two, energy and waste, with about 13% from transportation. And carbon sequestration is really an emerging area of climate action planning. And in including carbon sequestration targets and goals in our roadmap, we're really emerging as a leader in this sector. So we did have quite a bit of touch points with the community throughout the development of this roadmap. You know, as Justine mentioned, it's been a few years now. Starting out in COVID, of course, we had lots of challenges, so we had a lot of online engagement. We also directly engaged community-based organizations to be our eyes and ears in the community through surveys, door-to-door canvassing. Our team met with a couple dozen organizations just to make sure we were getting priorities from them, as well as major stakeholders such as Silicon Valley Clean Energy, Valley Water, Stanford, just to make sure we're integrating their plans as well into our plan. So from this engagement process, we drafted the strategies, actions, and measures. I'll just quickly do a high level on each sector so you can get a sense for what we're including. This is the energy sector for unincorporated buildings. Wanted to note that the Air District has recently developed new rules to limit the sale of it's a zero nitrous oxide emissions rule, but really we'll get at natural gas, water heaters, and furnaces. They do not apply to gas stoves, but really we designed this roadmap to prepare residents and businesses to get ready for this transition. And we're not alone in this roadmap. We do have a lot of really good partnerships, especially in this area of electrification. So we're leaning in on Silicon Valley Clean Energy and our own program through our office administers the Bay Area Regional Energy Network, lots of resources, support, which we're going to amplify through this work. I also wanted to mention our office received a grant from the California Energy Commission for $700,000, directly getting a head start on some of these electrification pilots and neighborhood electrification support plans. In the waste sector, we've got also making good progress on implementing and enforcing Senate Bill 1383. So that's really to reduce organic materials such as food scraps and paper from going to the landfill. Also to make sure that we're making good use of edible food and preventing that waste from occurring in the first place. You'll see also in the waste sector, we have measures to consider going beyond state requirements for waste products such as single-use plastics. In transportation, the crux of this is really shifting from the single person driving in a gas or diesel car or truck to more shared versions of transportation such as transit, biking, active transportation, but also transitioning our actual vehicles to cleaner forms of transportation like to electric vehicles. I want to note too, I know this is focused on unincorporated, but just to note because 50% of the county-wide emissions are in the transportation sector, regional partnerships with entities such as Valley Transportation Authority are really critical for transportation. So we have laid out an ambitious plan to reduce emissions, as we've mentioned, but carbon sequestration and really leveraging our rural and natural working lands and supporting farmers is going to be an important part of this plan. So this target is actually to create a target for carbon sequestration, create a goal, and also amplify really, successful programs the county already has in place, such as the Agricultural Resilience Incentive Grant Program. Leverage those to make sure we're supporting our farmers to practice carbon, carbon storage and carbon safe practices. So this slide is on implementation. As we've mentioned, we've already gotten some strategies underway. So these actions that you see on this slide, they're really foundation and critical in order to move us to that 2030 midpoint target. A lot of these efforts you see on the slide are either already underway or funded. I'm one of the ones in energy. I know farm worker housing was mentioned earlier. We have a pilot working on that for electrification of farm worker housing, for instance. We've already also begun coordinating regionally, primarily through the Santa Clara County Climate Collaborative. That's a collaborative of over 40 organizations, which includes regional entities, jurisdictions, community-based organizations. So we're going to really focus on these actions over the next few years. With that, thank you so much for your time and attention on Thursday morning, and we are very pleased to answer any questions you might have.
Great, thank you. Actually, before we go to questions, is there any public comment on this item?
We have no speakers in chambers, but we do have one virtual speaker.
Okay,
Paul Soto, please accept the unmute to begin speaking. You will have 2 minutes.
Hi, my name is Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. Thank you for the report. I would like to point out that Stanford University was explicitly pointed out as a major contributor to the climate issues that we have in our county. And here's one of the reasons why. Stanford University is the largest private landowner in the entire county. They pay no property tax, nothing. They contribute not a dime in property tax. So anything, any waste, any kind of issues that are attributed to Stanford University and their carbon emissions, which was 12%, is an issue because Stanford University was established by a man that profited from the 1888 Chinese Exclusionary Act in order to build the Transcontinental Railroad. So these are issues. Look, that's number one. Number two is that there is a paucity of attention to market rate housing because they get to build whatever it is that they want. They can have garages filled with cars. But when you guys come and try to build low-income housing, any other kind of type of housing other than market rate, oh, all of a sudden you become climate conscious and you want to reduce the amount of vehicles that people can have on their properties. This is hypocrisy, and there's something that needs to be challenged, and I'm doing that right here, right now. Thank you.
And that concludes our speakers.
thank you. I'll bring it back to the committee. Supervisor Arenas, do you have any questions, comments?
Yes, I do. Thank you so much for the presentation. I have a couple of questions in different areas. I heard loud and clear we are behind, and I think it was, how far behind, if you can put that slide up?
Oh, yeah. Just need to go back. That would be to the first, second slide.
20 years, yeah, I thought that's what it was. I appreciate the urgency of trying to catch up, right? The first year that I served as a council member, I had the privilege of voting yes on creating our own clean energy department. And it was the most effective way that we were going to reduce emissions. Here in the county, it's slightly different, right? And so I know that there's different strategies that you're working on. And one of the strategies that caught my eye, of course, was the one that had to do with the farm workers, with the agricultural community. I really appreciated the induction cooking class that we had not too long ago. That was really fun, and it was absolutely eye-opening in terms of the kind of food that you can cook, because this really is different, right? And it's different than an apartment, because an apartment is, you have those wired, coiled electrical stovetops. This is really different. And so, and then, you brought a chef from Monterey or Napa County, whatever county it was, but it was really absolutely fabulous. People got to go home with cooktops that day. And it was just not everybody, but there was a raffle. And overall, I think it was really eye-opening. And while I think that there's a transition that needs to happen, I think we need to be very careful about, because we're falling behind, that we are going to really transition people more quickly than that they're able to. And what I saw was that you had one focus group in July with the agriculture community, and I wanted to know, is this how you captured most of the feedback and what you laid out in terms of how the agriculture community is going to, all of those strategies that you had, including, how they're going to sequester, increasing the water storage capacity, and I want you to take me through that process a little bit more. And who was in that meeting? How well represented was it? Were there any farm workers? You did it online, so I'm going to guess no.
Okay, I think I got it. Thank you for that question, Supervisor. So there were a couple of strategies. One was we actually met with the Farm Bureau as well multiple times, and we went and made presentations to them. And you're right, the forum was online because we were also in COVID at that point as well. But we did try our best to go out and present to several of these organizations.
July of 2023, we were still
We weren't as such doing as many events at that point as well. We were just starting to loop back on in-person as well, so that one certainly was online. We did have, actually, I'm trying to remember because I was in there, we did have some farmers that attended that session as well, but you're right, we did not take it down to the level of really engaging with the farm workers at that point, which our hope is through this pilot that we're doing on electrification of farm worker housing, that gives us the opportunity to go deeper as well.
May I suggest this as well, Supervisor Reyes? To the extent that there are gaps in I think you're highlighting them in terms of reaching out directly to farm workers, we can redouble our efforts and report back and coordinate with the Ag Commissioner and the Consumer Environmental Protection Agency. As you know from the work, all of the initiatives that we initiated around ag worker housing, we've renewed our relationships both with major farmers, farm labor contractors, farm workers, Caras, St. Joseph Family Center, and other nonprofits that work more closely with ag workers. And I would propose that if you believe, as I think you're indicating, that perhaps our outreach to these groups may have been deficient.
Well, one is that I think one meeting is a good start, right? It's a good start, and then you take a look at who actually showed up. And I'm sure that what you tried to do is fill in those spots by calling, by having follow-up conversations, and I appreciate that. And I know that maybe this was an area of concern because the emissions rose, whereas maybe some other areas decreased. I want to make sure that we inadvertently don't impact the agricultural worker housing development because we're 20 years behind. And we haven't built, I'm going to remind, and you haven't been here, Chair, to know this, but we've only built 3 units in the past, I don't know, 3-4 years. Correct me, somebody, if I'm wrong. That's 3 units where 3 individuals can live. And we have 700 approximately, I'm sure that that is outdated from the last time that you all had a survey, seasonal workers, and double that, all year-round workers, and double that for seasonal workers. And so we're far behind as well in agriculture worker housing, as you well know. And I want to make sure that we're not going to create an obstacle in demanding electrification in those housing units. I think absolutely we should bring everybody forward, but I want us to make sure that we are not creating obstacles.
And if I might just add one point to that, it's actually cheaper to build all-electric housing than it is to build a house with both natural gas and electricity. So when, a couple of years back, when we came to the board for another initiative, we had the research that shows that as well. So I'm just going to put it out there that
Well,
hopefully
show
this
me
should
the
not, this
research.
should
I'm
not
happy to read it.
impede the process.
Yeah, but the point here is that I would like to have been part of that conversation. It is really important that there are no other future inadvertently obstacles that are created. And it is our responsibility, as equally as important as the environment is, that the people who are living and taking in pesticides every day get the respect that they deserve and the input that we need from them. And so if I'm coming across as very serious, it's because it is. And we're at the point where we are hoping to get this off the ground. Now, I don't know what the research that you have. I'm happy to read it. But I'm just going to really, this is a message for the whole committee, is that when there is anything that has to do with agricultural worker housing, that we have a discussion about maybe inadvertent impacts to the development of that. Because as I reminded everybody, we have had none. And if we can have an offline conversation about what those strategies and priorities are, I think July 2023 is a bit outdated to create strategies that are going to be outlined in this roadmap. And so with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve the report, and as well as revise the agriculture worker housing segment based on a future offline conversation.
Thank you, Supervisor. I'll second the motion, and then I have some questions and comments, if I may. Thank you. I very much appreciate the report. I've been, helped create the action plan for my city. Also was part of obtaining the seed funding for the formation of Silicon Valley Clean Energy. So this is definitely an area that I've really come to appreciate and have worked hard to learn. It is a steep learning curve, but this to me is top priority. For my daughters. You hear this often. My daughters remind me, my Gen Z daughters remind me every day how important it is for us to fight climate change. So I very much appreciate this action plan. I have a lot of more specific comments, but in the interest of time, I probably would just appreciate the opportunity to meet with you, since this is my day 9, so still trying to catch up. But as we did our plan in the city, we had a similar process. And then what we decided to do to really start to be able to create concrete or tangible goals, we categorized, and I'm sorry, I tried to read this, but maybe didn't get through all of it, but categorizing the, we had something like 76 items, and categorizing it to low-hanging fruit and medium and then high. And then we actually put a price tag on those, and we did end up embarking and putting in quite a bit of funding to get the to get moving on the items. But would that be the next steps, or have you already done that? I guess that what I'd like to see now is that just the categorization, what can we do now? What can we do from 5 years from now to be able to really get the target to the target goals?
So if you remember the last slide that we showed you on implementation, that is like those immediate actions that we need to start taking, which sets the foundation. And in the staff memo as well, there's a section in there on immediate actions
yes.
that we will take through 2030 as well. So we have done that prioritization.
Okay.
And there's an initial low, medium, high cost range
Okay.
that's included in the report as well.
Okay, great, thank you. I guess, do we have this more in detail too? Because, for instance, transportation, there's active transportation, the EV chargers, there's like many different, frankly, action items even within these categories. And I guess that's what I'm looking for, to really be able to, see movement. I think we just have to get to that level of detail. And then frankly, yeah, there is going to be some funding needs, just from my own my own experience. So that would be my request, is to drill it down even further to within these categories, so we can see how we're going to move forward. So for me, frankly, EV charging stations, and then there's the issue of what we do as a county versus what the community does, and I would appreciate seeing that breakdown. But are we at and I keep asking Clean Energy and others, what is the optimum number of charging stations to be able to get to 100% EVs? So having that kind of information, and then just seeing where we are at the county and where we need to go would be really helpful. So would appreciate. I know this is a ongoing, longer term conversation, but I was just quite a few questions. How much is our commercial versus residential percentage-wise in the building category?
Do we know as far as the emissions?
Yeah. If you give us a second, we
Okay,
can pull
sure.
that up. It's
Yes, no problem. And then while you're looking at it, the other question was, do we have a zero waste policy?
we do.
Okay, great.
And it is going to be updated in the coming years as well. It was adopted many years ago.
Okay,
So
great.
yes, that's on the books as well.
And then how do we interface with the cities and the other entities? Is it through the, you mentioned the collaborative?
Absolutely. So there are two ways. One, of course, is Silicon Valley Clean Energy,
Yes.
the 13 member agencies. There's the monthly meeting of all the member agencies, so we're certainly part of that as well. And then the Climate Collaborative, since it got launched, we got this bigger grant from EPA, the Climate Pollution Reduction Grant, through which we're developing a larger climate action plan for the Santa Clara and San Benito metropolitan statistical area, because that's the planning grant we got from EPA. So that's where the effort of partnering with not just the cities, but other public agencies like VTA, Valley Water, and a lot of the San Benito agencies as well.
great.
So it's housed as a working group within the collaborative, and we're working on things together.
That's great. That's been my conclusion. One of my conclusions to this work is that we're all doing. We all have requirements, so we're moving forward. And I really see the county as having that opportunity to be the collaborator of all of the many different agencies within our county and our region. So I look forward to seeing the work there. And then finally, I will say I was surprised with the Stanford admissions being such a large percentage, and I actually went to Stanford and went to their new Door Institute. So I'll have to do some follow-up on that, and this is helpful information to have. But because I'm on as you probably know, the Bay Area Air Quality Management District, with our gas appliance ban coming up in 2027, I believe, is the first round. At least my community has really decided to focus on heat water pumps. And I really do think that that's a very concrete item and something that we need to get done in 2 years. So I would just say or encourage us to focus on just getting ready for the gas appliance change out. And we just had a report at our last meeting where we are, and we are on target, and we had a off ramp, but we chose not to take it, and we're moving forward. But as Supervisor Reyes mentioned, and I very much have been concerned about the equity piece in all of this, and that is actually something that has been called out of all of the work that's being done. And so I, 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 I thought, I mean, it's really enlightening to me to hear and to see that the agricultural community really is, an area I think that we can focus on and should focus on, and making sure, one, that the information is out there. Yes, you're right. I've read all the studies and actually had developers come in when we decided to do the all-electric building requirement, that it's either cost neutral or cheaper because you don't have to put the gas lines in, and number two, it's safer because you don't have to have the gas lines. So electric is, to me, I've been convinced that it's the way to go, but just making it more attainable, finding ways if there's, and I keep, because we have a large multifamily development community in my community, and it's hard. It's a hardship for folks, landlords, property owners, to do this change. So, however we can assist in that financially by providing information, streamlining the process, is what I would hope that we can focus on in the next 2 years.
And Supervisor, just to add to that, we actually have a project with our planning department in partnership with them. That's the California
Perfect.
Energy Commission grant that we mentioned,
Okay,
where we
great,
are
yes.
really starting this process of streamlining permits and really providing support to
Perfect.
our residents on getting ready for that 2027 switch from BACMed. So yes, absolutely, we'll be working with them closely.
Great. And there is funding available too. So let's definitely make sure to be aggressive in finding funding opportunities. So thank you. With that, I'll close this, or I will ask for a roll call vote, please.
Actually, I have my light on, Chair.
I'm so
No, that's
sorry.
okay. And the reason I lit it up again is because I want to make sure, and I was looking through one of the areas of concern. I think I mentioned this the last time you all came in, and this is the impact on the actual workers for the chemicals that are being used in agriculture, and that was absolutely missing in all of this. So I think we always need to make sure we are focused on improving the viability of our planet in the future for generations to come, but not on the backs of others. And certainly not leaving some folks out. So I want to make sure that those impacts are focused on, because there's a high level of stomach cancer, of pulmonary issues, and that is nowhere to be found here. Thank you.
Vice Chairperson Arenas.
Yes.
Chairperson Abekoga. Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll go on to item 5, which is to receive a verbal report from the Office of the County Executive relating to agricultural worker housing.
Good morning, Sylvia Gallegos, Deputy County Executive. A little table setting. So we report out monthly on the work of the administration and our partners with respect to advancing all manner of work associated with ag worker housing. And at the end of December at the committee, we did more of a global report out to be able to also celebrate the diversity and the good work that we have done as an organization in all areas. So this report will be briefer. A couple of things. Number one, we continue to work on our permit transformation process with our consultant Barry Dunn. We're concluding the information gathering stage to understand our current state, and we've convened focus groups, we've done surveys, we've done interviews with both internal interested parties, including all the permitting departments, and also external parties. including developers, so that we can get better insights into how to improve permitting with the focus on trying to advance ag worker housing. Secondly, I'm poised to sign off on the job specifications for the ally position that we're creating in the planning department at the behest of Supervisor Arenas. So we're hoping to post soon and then do interviews in the first quarter. And then lastly, and this is in response, and you've heard this from the county exec, that the organization is gearing up for the change in the federal administration, and executive orders that we anticipate will be issued next week. We, staff, are working with county council to finalize know your rights information that we can disseminate, and in particular with the focus on farm workers. As you know, we estimate that about the half of the farm workers in California are undocumented. And so we want to use the relationships that we've strengthened with our local ag community, including, as I mentioned earlier, the St. Joseph Family Center, Caras, and renewed relationships with farmers and other interested parties to be able to disseminate this information. We're hoping the Know Your Rights will be posted to the Office of Immigrant Relations website, we hope tomorrow, and we're working actively to ensure that happens. And then we can work with the Consumer Environmental Protection Agency, with our ag liaison, with your office, Supervisor Rennes, since you represent this area, and our ag commissioner to begin sharing that information. And so I wanted to talk about a topical item as well. Thank you. That's the end of my report.
Great, thank you. I'm going to go to public comment again first again. Is there anyone wishing to speak on this item?
We have no speakers on the item.
Great, thank you. We'll close public comment, bring it back to the committee. Supervisor Arenas, do you have any comments or questions?
Yes, I do. Okay, so I do have a question around, I heard you loud and clear you're working with county council to, for the Know Your Rights sessions. There is a listening session this weekend. And I'd love to just have a conversation with you offline in terms of the agencies that I think are really suited to do a lot of the work. And I think for the most part, we need to make sure that families aren't separated like we did see last time. And I think it's really important for us to work with the school districts. And I just actually had a conversation with the Morgan Hill superintendent. I didn't get a chance to reach out, even though I just saw her on Wednesday. That was yesterday. Okay. Well, anyways, I heard from the superintendent who was saying that she's hearing from the families that they're very fearful, and they're doing a lot of work to try to convince folks to continue to send their kids to school. And so, I think working with them ahead of time would be really, really beneficial. That is one thing. I think the other area is the companies that help facilitate the seasonal workers, and I think there's 3 of them, right? I think it's really important. I'd love to be part of all of what I'm sharing with you, and not to burden you with all of the work, but I'm happy to get my office involved, because I think that disseminating information to those folks is going to be just equally as important. Folks are not going to know the difference between somebody who is undocumented or who's here with a permit, and they just have a target on their back, right? So South County definitely has a target on their back, because we just happen to have a lot of ag workers who come in from different countries and who are just going to be stereotyped into maybe the assumption that they're not documented, or they're here without permits. So I think it's really important for us to reach out to those folks, and I'd love to work with your office to actually do that. And then I had a question about the Advocate Ally. You said you're in the middle of hiring for that? Is that what I heard you say?
So I am, by tomorrow, signing off on the job specification. It's a unique role, and it has to balance both classic planner duties and functions with that advocacy component. And so it's a little bit of a unicorn, but we
Yeah.
feel that I did an initial review of the job specs, so I want to complete that. And then we're going to post quickly later this month and hope that we can begin interviews March
Oh,
for
wonderful.
the position.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's great. And then for the permit improvement process, I heard you say the consultant is very done. They're in the middle of getting, is what they're, are they giving you an outline, a work plan in terms of how they are going to move through the process? Do you have an approximate estimation in terms of what their timeline is?
We do. We have both a work plan and a timeline, and we're pivoting from the information gathering stage to understand what our current processes now, to now shifting toward working with the permit departments based on the input we received internally and externally on recommendations for improvements. And we hope to bring a product forward. I'm going to say the May timeframe. And then I'm looking at our planning director who thinks I'm being too ambitious. So let me suggest this, that we'll take that back and then report back. Because we are actually in the process of trying to, we have a meeting actually later today with the consultant to, we hope, finalize the timeline. So we'll have a discussion and send an email to the committee to advise you of the date that we think we can commit to for bringing back a product the committee can review.
Wonderful. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I would just appreciate Supervisor Arenas' comments, and given what we are anticipating next week, starting next week, definitely making sure that we reach out to folks. And I appreciate this. Working with the school districts, I think, is a great way to get the information out. So thank you very much with that. If there's nothing else, then I will close this item. There's no action needed, I believe. So we will now go to item 6. Yep, is that right? Yes. And consider recommendations from the Office of Supportive Housing relating to supportive housing system of care. Report out. Welcome.
Good morning, Chair. KJ Kaminsky, Acting Director for the Office of Supportive Housing. For this item, Hillary Armstrong, Deputy Director, and Jessica Orozco, our Homelessness Prevention System Manager, will be presenting. I'll hand it over to them.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair Abekoga, and welcome to our committee. And thank you, Vice Chair Arenas. Just let me get the PowerPoint in the right mode. I'm Hillary Armstrong, a Deputy Director with our Office of Supportive Housing, and I'm joined today by, as KJ mentioned, our Prevention Manager, Jessica Orozco. And this is our regular report to the Hewlett Committee on our system-wide data. It generally provides a snapshot of the past 12 months. And the elements of this report include an overall review of our system progress, which is updated for each report with the same data points over time, as well as periodic reports back on specific programs or subpopulations. So today we're going to do a deeper dive into our homelessness prevention system. With that, I wanted to provide an update on our overarching goals toward our 2020 to 2025 community plan to end homelessness. You'll note that we are now in 2025, so this plan goes through the end of this calendar year. And at this point, we are 86% toward the goal that we set of housing 20,000 people by 2025. However, in terms of reducing inflow, that goal has been more challenging to meet due to numerous factors that I know both the chair and vice chair are well aware of in our community. However, we still are improving on what we call inflow, which is a kind of first-time homelessness as indicated by households that are undergoing an assessment for housing programs for the first time. We also wanted to share this month-by-month snapshot of our inflow, which again is measured by households who are undergoing a housing assessment for the first time because they are unhoused and they need housing services through our system. This includes the needs ranges as folks are assessed through our current assessment tool, which you may be familiar with as the VI SPDAT. And I would note that we're also undergoing an extensive redesign process for our coordinated assessment that you'll hear more about in the coming months. We do see, as you can see, that our current needs and inflow is exceeding the number of folks who are placed into housing. And this is, again, due to a number of different factors, but overarching, we see the need to continue our investment and expand it in our homelessness prevention system, which we'll dive into more deeply shortly, as well as continuing our work to build and sustain more affordable housing throughout our community. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jessica and be available at the end for any questions.
Thank you, Hillary. Good morning, everyone. As Hillary mentioned, I'm going to provide an overview of our prevention system. Next slide. These charts are going to illustrate how our efforts are effectively addressing housing instability in our community. The Appendix E, the chart on the left, just demonstrates a total capacity in our community of overall prevention systems in our county. The top 3 programs are programs that the Office of Supportive Housing oversees. The chart on the right demonstrates our capacity and the household serves. And as you guys can see, the capacity consistently has grown over time. And consistently, we have a trend of serving at or above capacity, which shows that our program has the ability to maximize the resources and meet the needs of the community. And even as our capacity has grown over time exponentially, we continue to have a high success rate throughout our program. Next slide. Thank you. Appendix E is going to highlight some of our outcomes and reasons for assistance. Thank you. As it relates to, excuse me, 95% of households remain housed while receiving assistance, and 95% of households exit to permanent destinations, which these are figures that we are extremely proud of. The high success rates really highlights the program's reliability in achieving positive outcomes. And more importantly, it does underscore the effectiveness of financial assistance in preventing homelessness. The chart on the right demonstrates the top 4 reasons for requesting assistance, and these reasons are self-reported by the households. The primary reason is income loss, and this sometimes overlaps with a reduction in work hours. But ultimately, it really highlights the vulnerability of households to unexpected financial and life events, underscoring the importance of prevention programs. Next slide. Thank you. Appendix F, the chart on the left talks about the transactions by type. And as you can see, the majority of transactions are for rental assistance. So 82% of households served in our prevention assistance receive rental assistance, demonstrating that targeted financial assistance can significantly stabilize the households, especially when addressing the immediate needs like rent. The chart on the right demonstrates our average financial assistance. Over the past year, we've provided over $15 million in financial assistance. In homelessness prevention services, our largest program, the average is nearing $7,000, and that is serving 2 or more months on average. And in our short-term programs, it is nearing almost $3,000, and as you can imagine, that has gone up over time due to the unaffordability. All right, and then these slides this chart is showing some of our demographics. 57% of households served in our prevention programs are households with children, and that has been consistent through the inception of our programs, primarily serving households with children. One of the things that I do want to highlight is under race and ethnicity. 64% of households served in prevention self-identified as Hispanic or Latinx, and these numbers, of course, suggest that the programs disproportionately serve people of color, reflecting systemic inequities and barriers that these communities face in reaching stability, emphasizing the need for culturally responsive supportive services. The other part that I want to highlight is the gender. The chart, the graph on the right, shows that 73% of households in prevention are women-led households, which aligns with national and local trends, where women, particularly single mothers, are more likely to experience housing instability due to systemic economic challenges such as wage gaps, higher childcare costs, limited access to affordable housing, and other challenges. And of course, if you combine the intersectionality of people of color and women-led households, this amplifies the challenges that some of our households are facing. So all of this to say, we obviously have a system that really works in our community. It is pretty robust and it helps people regain stability, but we do need to continue to invest in the system. Thank you.
And with that, we are available for any questions following public comment.
Great, thank you very much. Do we have any public comments on this item?
We have no speakers in chambers, but we do have one virtual speaker. Paul Soto, please accept the unmute. You will have 2 minutes to speak.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Thank you. Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. Thank you for the report. And thank you for your efforts. Thank you for your efforts with regard to supportive housing. There's one thing that is absent, and that is a specific articulation of the population that could no longer live on the east side of San Jose, that completely disappeared and was no longer able to be viable citizens of this city. Where did these thousands and thousands of children go with their families? Now, where they went, I can tell you where they went. They went to the Central Valley. They went to Modesto. They went to Tulare. They went to Tracy. They went to Stockton. They went to other cities where their labor could support their children. This is disgusting, because what we're talking about is racist policies continually being perpetuated through policy by neglecting the fact of this county accepting responsibility for those populations. You're not going to factor them into your data, so your data is flawed. It is flawed. And I want some advocacy from this board referencing.
And that concludes our speakers.
Thank you. We'll close public comment, bring it back to the committee. Supervisor Arenas, do you have any questions or comments?
Yes, I do. So recently, the city of San Jose has had a strategy that they're going to use in order to improve the optics of neighborhoods, and part of that is moving some RVs or prohibiting RVs from parking in certain places. Now, we know that most people who live in an RV or in a car don't consider them homeless, themselves homeless. How do we categorize them?
Thank you, Vice Chair Arenas. And yes, our office has been aware of that activity. The categorization for folks who are residing in RVs, I believe, is if it is their primary residence and it's on a kind of street or place not meant for permanent habitation and not, kind of some sort of private property that they are connected to, then I think that would count as unhoused in our categorization. And I'm looking to Acting Director Kaminsky for confirmation.
Yes, that's correct.
Great. Oh, okay. So if they're unhoused, regardless of whether they're an unincorporated area or within a city, and another municipality may be serving them more directly, we're responsible for those folks, correct?
Yes, as a full system, we are responsible.
Okay. So I'd like to make sure that I want to request a collaboration or collaborative meeting that happens between the city of San Jose, the county, and myself involved, and those that are elected, to talk about the strategies that they are going to employ for this upcoming year. I know that the city of San Jose, which is our largest city, and has the greater amount of resources, are going to have a prioritization process coming up soon. And they're going to take a look at what most of their departments are going to focus on. And I'm going to assume, because of the mayor, that there's going to be a lot of unhoused focused issues that may not be congruent with the way that most advocates or our departments agree in terms of strategies. Because of that, I think that there is a larger conversation in terms of figuring out how do we support a community that is going to get pushed from one end to the other end, or from just down the street here to over on the other side. We all know that this is just basically what's going to happen. Because I did have council member Campos, who's new to the council, reach out to me and ask for a list of services that we would offer. And I think as a new department, I would like to, and you all helped out and responded to that, and I appreciate that. And I think that we need to make sure that those services are already ready to go and outlined in terms of a community-friendly kind of prototype, and then think about how it is that we are going to, what role we are going to take when other cities take whatever strategies that they're going to take for this upcoming year. And I'm going to guess that potentially some of the strategies are going to be a lot more aggressive because of the administration and what it maybe the kind of culture that's going to be created and around the way that we treat our unhoused. So I'd like to have that conversation with you offline and ask you, as a new department, what your strategic plan is, just so that this committee that has housing included in it, as well as the whole board, understands the direction that you're going into and how you're going to collaborate with the other cities. And I know we have a whole plan, a 5-year plan that incorporates regionally what we're all going to do. But that doesn't include some of the things that happen on an annual basis that get updated, right? Such as this, for example. And so I just ask you to think about what those strategies and outreach efforts or resources that we are going to then going to line up based on what we learn from other cities and what they're doing. Because I think it's important for us to pivot before something gets created that is going to just cause a lot more chaos, right? And I think you heard, the energy from the public speaker, from Mr. Soto, and it's because, as you well noted, Latinos are the first, they are overrepresented. And not only that, but women are overrepresented with children. And I asked this the last time, I want you to come back in committee to let me know what your process is when we recognize that there's children in not cars or RVs, but in camps. What is our responsibility to report that, and how do we work with the DFCS department to support those families? I think it's, we have a tremendous role and responsibility as caretakers of safety net services. And so I really don't want that to get delayed more than next month. And then I want you to also include whether it's with what we know now or with the new point in time count, the strategies that we are going to pivot with, knowing what we know. And if we know that it's Latinos and we know it's Latinas, then what are we doing to specifically support those populations? Because if we're doing the same thing over again, understanding in a deeper level who our most vulnerable are, then we are not being as responsive as we need to be in order to address the information that we know. So what is it good for if we know these things and aren't also being responsive? And so I will continue to ask that question as the trends change and shift. But more importantly, I want to know, as a new department, how is it that you are formulating your strategic plan, and how you are going to establish yourself as that department, right? Anyways, I'm going to make a motion to approve the report and ask for those additional things that I asked, which is a strategic plan for the department that outlines goals, priorities, strategies, and that additional offline meeting that is going to focus on collaboration, specifically with the city of San Jose on their strategies for the unhoused. That includes the electeds.
Great, thank you very much. I'll second the motion. Actually, I had similar questions, focus of interest for me, coming from, again, my community has been the safe park, the vehicle dwellers, and our safe parking program. And I appreciate again maybe an offline discussion, but I noticed it's not in the report, and that's really been my question: is where does safe parking fall into our homeless and homeless prevention strategies and programs? And I'll say I've actually just had another council member from a different city asking me about our program. So the program has grown, which I'm very excited about. At one point, our little city of 85,000, we had the largest program in the entire Bay Area next to Oakland. So I'm very proud that we were able to do that. But my thought has been that if every city could find a space to start a program, then that is, that contributes to helping with another strategy. And yet I've been told by my old city staff that it's not really recognized, and in terms of funding as well, the city, we've had to put in our own general fund funding to get these lots open and operated. So, if a city can do it, that's great, but there's actually a lot of cities that don't have that kind of capacity. So my question is, what is the county's ability to, to support the community? So I would be very much appreciative and interested in this conversation. Supervisor Arenas, I appreciate your request to do that. But I really think that, I guess the point is that I think safe parking is a strategy that we should acknowledge and incorporate into our many tools. And so I would like to see how we can move forward with that.
Thank you. I really appreciate your comments. And I think that we also have to recognize that, and speak about it, that there also requires political will, because as part of the council, I have seen, and I actually rejected I voted no on a request from a specific district from the city of San Jose for us to contribute funds, because I saw that district pull back when things got hot, right? And so I'm not sure that they would be willing to do it again. And I think when there's more people putting their hands to the fire, as the county should, and as representatives of our communities also should, that it builds the opportunity for others to join us. And so whether we are leading or the other cities are leading or trying to lead, I think it is an opportunity for us to have an actual discussion around how do we all collectively do this together? Because otherwise, I think they're going to be singular efforts, or efforts that are not going to go through simply because electeds don't have the political will or stamina to, and it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy. It's hard to get sometimes pummeled by the community around the kind of different housing opportunities that we are going to bring to a community. And the county sometimes is sheltered from some of those, from some of that feedback, because the cities kind of feel it. And I think that is another, that is something else that I think we need to recognize. That's a dynamic that we need to recognize and figure out, how do we become partners in this very difficult political arena, when other cities or municipalities are trying to do something, like I said earlier, not congruent with maybe some of the strategies that we want to see happen. And I think it's, as I think you all well know, I'm okay with being uncomfortable and talking about difficult subjects. And this is, I think, one of those areas that we just need to put on the table and talk about, how are we all going to do this? Because there's going to be a lot of, I think, incongruent strategies. Once one city begins, others will follow, and may undo some of the really good work that has been being done by our counties and municipalities. So anyways, I think you all understand what I'm saying, and hopefully we can take this offline and continue this conversation. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. If there's nothing else, I'll close this item. Oh, actually, we have to take a roll call vote, please.
Vice Chairperson Arenas.
Yes.
Chairperson Abekoga.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. I will now move on to item number 7, to consider recommendations relating to activities and departments reporting to the committee. And do we have any presentations?
Through the chair.
Yes.
Oh, it's me, so sorry.
Yes.
I should identify myself.
Sorry.
And Chair, I just wanted to let you know that this is something that I adopted because I seen this work in CSFC, but it is your privilege and prerogative to shift this if you wanted to. This is not a standard item in our agenda, and so I just wanted to give you that privilege back. Yeah, thank you.
I thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm happy to move forward with it today. Yes, and yes.
Good morning, Jacqueline Anciano, Director of Planning and Development. My presentation is very short. We are working diligently with our county council, our county executive, to get our housing element certified. That is one of the main focuses that we are working on right now, and then to continue to secure and fulfill vacancies that we have within the department. We're working closely with, as our deputy county executive Gallegos stated, we're working with Barry Dunn on a transformation of our permit processing, and so we are working closely with them to find as many efficiencies as we can within our permit process. Thank you.
Thank you. Should we take all the presentations together and then we'll go to public comment? All right, thank you.
So, yeah, Harry Freitas, Director of the Roads and Airports Department. And I just want to report on some activities we have actually upcoming next week regarding the final public outreach and receipt of comments on our active transportation plan, which I know you had referenced earlier. We've been working on that for a while, and we're going to be taking that to the County Sustainability Commission next week. We're also going to present it to the San Martin Planning Advisory Committee. That's on January 22nd. That's been agendized through Jacqueline's office. And we're also going to be in attendance at the San Martin Neighborhood Association Town Hall, which I believe is scheduled for January 22nd. Next week, we'll be presenting on both the ATP and various traffic and other services that the Roads Department provides in those neighborhoods. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Good morning, Joe Aguilera, Acting Director, Parks and Recreation Department. Just a few updates this morning. Planning for 2025 prescribed burns is currently being coordinated with CAL FIRE. These fire operations provide the department with opportunities to educate the public on reducing fuel loads to minimize wildfire severity. It also allows the department to meet some of its natural resource goals by restoring native habitat and improving forest health. As of November 1st, the department has continued its fuel load reduction power burning operations at multiple sites when weather permits. Some park locations include Sanborn, Elmerton Quicksilver, Calero, Uvis Canyon, Mount Madonna, and Ed Levin. The department's GIS team continues their critical work on mapping property boundaries, assets, and easements. To further data access, a new dashboard for public trail exploration is available on the Parks and Recreation website. It is called Parks Trail Finder. Similar technology update, the department is poised to launch a much anticipated 311 public portal system called Parks Assist. Parks Assist will provide the public with a quick and easy way to communicate non-emergencies and maintenance issues if observed within the park system. The portal will be available in a web-based version and through phone applications. Currently, a public launch is targeted for the late February 2025. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Vice Chair. Edgar Nolasco, your agency director for the Consumer Environmental Protection Agency. I have a quick update. I'm happy to share in our Animal Services Division, we ended 2024 with 5,007 spay and neuters. That's a 30% increase over 2023. So many thanks to our two veterinarians at our Animal Services and our entire team. Also, as related to Animal Services, our Animal Services have stepped up and have reached out and are working with LA city and county officials on providing animals a place to stay, so they are helping local shelters in the area be able to take in displaced animals. So we're taking in animals from those areas to help accommodate efforts down in Southern California. Also happy to share that we did receive a large donation for Animal Services of $233,000 from an estate, and that will be coming to your board as an acceptance on the January 28th meeting. And lastly, we took on an effort to increase awareness of what we do in our Weights and Measures division as part of SEPA and with collaboration of our team and leadership of our Deputy County Executive Gallegos, we developed a new seal that incorporates our information and our county seal to ensure that the public knows that they are receiving those services from the county and not the state. Previously, the seal had the great state seal as a logo. Now we're incorporating our county seal as part of these. So watch out for these in 2025, wherever you pump gas or have any scales. Lovely, and I have some to share with you guys, with the supervisors. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and Vice Chair. KJ Kaminsky, Acting Director for the Office of Supportive Housing. We have a few updates for you today. As you are aware, our point-in-time count planning is well underway, and I know James talked a bit about it on the Tuesday meeting, but wanted to report back that we now have over 600 volunteers registered to support this effort. Our volunteers will be out on the days of January 22nd and 23rd, and they will be conducting interviews in teams of 3 to 5. This data that we gather during this huge community event helps us secure our federal funding. It will help inform our policies, our next community plan, and we use it in conjunction with all of the data like you saw today in our supportive housing dashboard report that we are gathering through all of our efforts. It's not one single data point that we use, but really help the point-in-time count is one piece that helps us understand the needs of the population that we're serving. I also want to note that as of yesterday, we had 187 folks with lived experience of homelessness volunteered for the count that will be participating, and just give a huge thank you to our county partners and our city partners who are really playing a key role in this effort too. We've been working with our partner cities also on outreach for our consolidated plan for our urban county program. That outreach is going well with many responses, and we closed the survey at the end of December, but that process will continue in the consolidated plan development. We are taking an implementation report on the housing board to the housing bond to the full board on the 28th, and as part of that request, it will include one of our projects in partnership with VTA and 2 potential funding partnerships with the city of San Jose as well. And we did mention this last time, but with a new chair, wanted to make sure you are aware that we had 3 new construction projects that received tax credits awarded in December that will start construction in the next 6 months. As far as developments underway, Roosevelt Apartments and Bellarmino are both in the lease-up process. Roosevelt has 40 rapid rehousing units. Bellarmino has 24 permanent supportive housing units. And we are working hard to make sure both are 100% leased up by the end of the month. And lastly, wanted to mention that our community plan efforts, as you saw today, we're in the last year of our 2020 to 2025 community plan. And we are in the current process of kind of doing an economic scan, current investments, and over the next several months, we'll be working with cities, working with our community-based organizations, and with all of you to update that plan. We are planning to bring back a full community plan update to the board before June.
Thank you. Any public comment on the reports?
We have no speakers on the item.
Great, thank you. Close that. Supervisor Arenas, do you have any questions or comments on any of the reports? Oh, great. Great, we will close that item then and move to adjournment. Yes. So let's see, do I need to read? Yes, we are adjourned until our next regular meeting, which is scheduled for Thursday, February 20th, 2025 at 10 a.m. in the Board of Supervisors chambers. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great rest of the day.